What's good? A little bit of morning spice today. I go by Osiris. And the spice is going to be tasty today. It's not going to be really salacious. Isn't it great when you can team up with people for a good cause? Doesn't that feel better than every single day you're a this, you're a that, this name, that name, especially as grown adults going back and forth on some BS? And what really made me happy, this bill did not pass, but that's not the point. In order to get to the place where a bill like this will pass, an anti-war bill, I'm going to talk about Syria and Matt Gaetz and how he's a leader. In order for us to get to a place where a bill like this could pass, we have to get there step by step. Most people don't know what's happening in Syria. I'm not an expert in Syria. I just read some of these articles, so I know a little bit of it. I listen to great people like Comic Dave Smith, who are very knowledgeable, Jimmy Dore, who's just a guy in his garage that reads this stuff just like you and I, but can articulate it in very simple terms. And I'm excited about this. I'm very happy about this. I will give credit where credit is due. I'm going to criticize right after I'm done with giving the Congressional Progressive Caucus props. I'm going to criticize them in this same live. And that's okay. Let me give them the props first. And really, a lot of the props goes to Matt Gaetz. Without Matt Gaetz, this doesn't happen. One of the biggest things on this channel that I want to see happen is the progressive or the populist left get together and work with the populist right. We are not enemies. There are certain things that I think we should fundamentally agree on. And one of them is being anti-war. I hope that's not controversial. So even if one side thinks one side thinks the other are racist bigots, and the other side thinks that they are fake populists and racists in their own right, we can still get together for a second and work on something we agree on, and then after we're done, can go back to calling each other bitch or whatever else we do. That is okay. That is a thing. And I'm good with that. And that's how we make progress. This is through the Intercept. There was a lot of different people who are anti-war. Kind of reminded me of Rage Against the War Machine. The same type of people got together, libertarians and everybody else. There was a vote Wednesday on Matt Gaetz's resolution to force congressional oversight on the continuation of U.S. military operations in Syria. That's what the House is supposed to do. To be a balance in power, the executive branch takes the military, puts them somewhere. The House is supposed to step up and say, you didn't authorize war. We didn't authorize war. What are you doing with this money? What are you doing with these weapons? What are you doing positioning soldiers in other parts of the world? We didn't authorize it. Pull it back. This isn't a dictatorship. Steve Johnson, all the way from Detroit, shout out, thank you. Came through the live. Love Detroit. I used to live in the suburbs out there. I used to live in Royal Oak Park. Used to live in Southfield. Used to work out in, was it Greenfield? I haven't been there in a minute. And I'm not good with directions and remembering stuff like that. I think it's Greenfield. Is it Greenfield, Michigan? Or is it, I feel stupid now. But shout out. I used to work in Dearborn. Love Michigan and that area. Thanks for stopping by, Steve Johnson. And many people out there in Michigan, no matter where you are, if you're in Michigan or Iowa, you don't want to see our tax dollars going to this garbage. Matt Gaetz said he was hopeful going into the vote. It was ultimately voted down, but I am very optimistic. It was ultimately voted down. Why? 47 Republicans joined 56 Democrats. These are the warmongering, war hawk. It's at least this many. When you have enough to vote down the bill, the other war hawks will pretend and they will vote no. So you've got at least 47 Republicans, and Matt Gaetz, we are getting some data. We know we have at least this many people in the House who are disgusting as far as when it comes specifically to the topic of warmongering. They are warmongerers. Despite the resolution's defeat, It was just the beginning in a string of efforts. This is also what makes me excited. This is why I was so pumped when we did those lives about the Magnificent Six. I didn't know they were really going to hold up the speaker vote like that. Man, that felt powerful from anybody following the politics. And he said, Syria, this is Matt Gaetz, said, Syria is my leadoff hitter. We're going to take a trip around the globe. We may go to Yemen. Don't say may, Matt. We are going to go to Yemen. We may have stops in, pronounce that word very carefully, Nigeria. We may have stops in Sudan. Maybe ultimately we'll end in the sunflower country. No maybes. Let's do it, Matt. Even the Obama administration's ambassador to Syria, leading voice in favor of aggressively confronting the regime of Syrian President, I don't know if I want to say the name, also backed the effort by Gaetz. We've rarely ever seen anything like this. You've got establishment people, you've got populist left. It was funny looking at some of the reactions on Twitter. People on the populist left don't like Matt Gaetz because they're told he's supposed to be this pedo and racist, and he could be, who I don't know him. So what? He's there in power and he's doing the bill. I haven't read the resolution, but in theory, it's anti-war, and I support that. But there's people on the left, I don't blame them. There's people on the right that would look at AOC sideways. But people on the left looking at it like, what's the catch? They literally were saying, wait, this is what we want. What's the catch? It's Matt Gaetz. I thought I was supposed to hate him. They were literally saying that. And you saw Ryan Grimm, who's one of the authors for this article in the byline, he had to come out and say, no, there's no catch. It is what it is. Relax. But the more often that we do this, we'll get more practice. We'll be able to work together. And no, it feels weird right now because we're supposed to be yelling at each other. We're not supposed to be, but we've been tricked into yelling at each other. But let's keep working at this relationship. It could be the start of something beautiful. Ryan Grimm had it on Twitter, and that some of these comments came from his tweets here. And I'm going to read this comment. This is from the former Obama ambassador to Syria, Robert Ford. Robert Ford said, "Dear Representative, I urge you to approve a motion that would bring the American military mission in Syria to a close within 180 days. Matt Gaetz, in this article, I believe he said he wanted to make it 15 days, but made it 180 to try and get more yes votes because he knew he didn't have the votes. Congress subsequently holds a debate and votes to authorize unless Congress subsequently holds a debate and votes to authorize such a mission." This stuff is so important that it goes through vote because the vote is your voice. It's my voice. And they're bypassing it. And I was talking to my wife yesterday about the pandemic, and I don't think it registers with her, but we still had a good discussion. And I'm like, one of the biggest problems with the pandemic was none of it went through legislation. No changes, none of these edicts or orders. And you're seeing the same thing with war. And at the end of the day, how much money did they spend during the pandemic? How much money are they spending during war? None of that's going directly to the vote. We're not getting these people on record. They don't want to be on record. That's why we need a vote. He said, we owe our soldiers serving there in harm's way a serious debate about whether their mission is, in fact, achievable. What is the mission? What is the official American position on Syria? I don't even know. Maybe I could be ignorant. I haven't heard much debate about it. Isaac Hull, friend of the show, stopping by, says, good job. I agree. So if you're looking at Syria, my terse knowledge of the topic is we have about 900 troops there. I'm going to play a clip from Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's about 900 troops there stationed, and they're backing this Kurdish Syrian democratic force, and it allows the U.S. to control part of the country. It's always about occupation and control. It's all about Iraq, Iran, all that kind of stuff. And Gaetz's resolution would get them the hell up out of there. Here's what it sounds like, and I'm wearing a dark MAGA shirt on, and people who don't understand MAGA might look at that as like it's some type of bad thing, some type of evil thing, and that's fine. But this is part of what it means to me, and you do have to give indirect credit to Grandpappy Don, because I don't think any of this happens without him.
Most Americans don't know a single Syrian. And so people watching this debate might wonder, how has it come to be that Syria has become the great platform of great power competition in the world? Begins in 2011 during the Arab Spring, when Assad, who is undeniably a madman and a despot, opens fire on his own people protesting. Then part of the Syrian army defects. They engage in warfare against Assad, and all of a sudden, they got a whole lot of weapons and money being sent from the rich Gulf monarchies through Jordan into Syria. So Iran's not just going to watch this. Assad's their ally. They activate Hezbollah. They then invade Syria. So now you've got Jordan, the Gulf monarchies, Iran. But wait, Russia is pitching their vision of the world as a regime preservation force, whether you're Maduro or Assad. So they get involved, and what do they get for their time? A warm water port in the eastern Mediterranean. So we've got Russia, the Gulf monarchies. Israel starts to get worried about Hezbollah and Iran. So Israel cuts a deal with Russia to keep Iran out of southern Syria. And if it doesn't get any worse than that, now all of a sudden you've got the Kurds who declare war on Syria, and it makes it a little messy that the Kurds are also in conflict with Turkey, which is a NATO ally. And then somehow the United States in 2015 says, you know what? We need to get involved in this mess in Syria. And since we have been there, we have seen Americans die. We have seen tens of billions of dollars wasted. And what is hilarious about the 2001 AUMF that the neoconservatives wave around like some permission slip for every neoconservative fantasy of turning an Arabian desert into a Jeffersonian democracy is that that very 2001 AUMF would justify attacking the people that we're fighting against and the people we're funding, because both have ties to al-Qaeda, and of course the 2001 AUMF dealt with al-Qaeda. All this talk about a reemergence of ISIS, I would encourage my colleagues to go read the Inspector General's report of the last quarter that indicates that ISIS is not a threat to the homeland. And with the Turks conducting operations in Syria against ISIS, with Assad and Russia having every incentive to create pressure on ISIS, I do not believe that what stands between a caliphate and not a caliphate are the 900 Americans who have been sent to this hellscape with no definition of victory, with no clear objective, and purely existing as a vestige to the regime change, failed foreign policies of multiple former presidents. I reserve the balance of my time.
That's what we need to hear from people who represent us. We ain't got time. We don't need to be worried too much about the details. You know, big picture stuff. And you have Matt Gaetz spelling it out. Obviously is prepared, has done his homework, respectful in his response, and serious. That's what we need to see. And if you want to know why I'm wearing a dark MAGA shirt, that's why. You want to know why I call MAGA the best political movement in the history of our country? That's why. So you might disagree, but I do have reasons for some of these statements. If you want to, the good angle on this is, obviously I'm against the money to the sunflower country. But the real angle on this is, wait a second. If we can't stop this is small potatoes compared to the funding of the sunflower country. This is nothing. If we can't stop that, then we can't stop anything. And that's why this is so big. It's an incestuous relationship, as you can see. You need to map it out to fully understand. Shout out as well, not just Matt Gaetz. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you. I have the great privilege of serving with many veterans here in Congress, and to them, I'm so grateful for their service. But this is also why I rise in support for this resolution to pull our great military from Syria. I'd like to point out on the official website for the U.S. Department of Defense, when it tells who the Department of Defense is on the About page, it says, "We are your defense." The Department of Defense is America's largest government agency, with our military tracing its roots back to pre-revolutionary times. The department has grown and evolved with our nation. Our mission is to provide the military forces needed to deter war and ensure our nation's security. That is the job of our Department of Defense, not to wage war in foreign lands and foreign countries at the expense of the American taxpayer, but it is to deter war. It is also the role of the Department of Defense to ensure our nation's security, but our border is being ignored. Every single day, our border is invaded by thousands, and over 300 Americans die daily from fentanyl brought into our country by Mexican cartels. I would say those are the enemies we need to be focusing on, not in a country called Syria, where no one in my district ever demands, "Marjorie, we must go to war in Syria." I never hear that request from anyone that voted for me. As a matter of fact, the veterans in my district say we are sick and tired of foreign wars. We are fed up with it, and too many of our American military have died in foreign lands serving their foreign borders and their foreign causes. So I'd like to thank my colleague, Matt Gaetz, for introducing this resolution, and I strongly encourage all of my colleagues to support it. Thank you.
So we see a lot of shenanigans. Basically, it's propaganda and marketing from people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to get attention, to raise money, and now we're seeing some of the substance. And I do like this substance right here. Whenever we look at these stuff and you wonder, like, should this happen? Should this not happen? This is the third live in a row I'm talking about this. 15-minute cities. Did the city of Cleveland ask for a 15-minute city? No, they're trying to force it on you. Characters in entertainment being flipped race-wise. They might ask for that. No. They have to turn the comments off. That's not natural. That's not organic. If you're making an entertainment product that you're supposed to be selling, you think that's some small thing for big companies, government, all these forcing things on you? Nobody asked for a Syrian war. You never explained why we should have a Syrian war. We shouldn't have a Syrian war. That's basically what she just said. You can think whatever you want to think about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but that's based, period. You know, this incestuous relationship that we have between the defense contractors and all the politicians and the foreign governments, it reminds me a lot of Hollywood. I'm going to put another kind of correlation with it to Hollywood. So in Hollywood, they have incestuous relationships. It's maybe a silly comparison, but it is seriously what came to mind.
Tyga is now dating Avril Lavigne. Why is this a big deal? Let me show you. Tyga used to be with and has a baby with Black China. Black China used to be with and has a baby with Rob Kardashian. Rob Kardashian is half siblings with Kylie Jenner. Why does that matter? Kylie Jenner used to date Tyga. Kylie Jenner also has another half sibling named Brody Jenner, who we all know from the Hills, Laguna Beach, yada yada. Why is that a big deal? Brody Jenner and Avril Lavigne used to be in a very serious relationship, so serious that they actually went to Kim Kardashian's wedding together to Kris Humphries, who we don't like to talk about. Let's go back to Tyga for a second. Tyga used to be married to someone named Jordan Craig. You may not know who that is, but fun fact, Jordan Craig used to be with and has the first baby of third semester Thompson, also known as Tristan Thompson, who we also don't like to talk about. Tristan, as we know, used to be with Khloe and has two babies. Khloe is siblings with Kim, with Brody, with Kylie, and with Rob, and with Kourtney Kardashian, who's married to Travis Barker. Travis Barker is a musician, as we all know, and one of his proteges is someone named Mod Sun. Mod Sun used to be engaged to Avril Lavigne a few weeks ago, and Avril Lavigne is signed to Travis Barker's record label. There you have it, folks.
Yeah, it's kind of like the relationship between all these politicians. Via Human Events Daily, we saw some disturbing revelations, and that kind of, to me, is kind of the incestuous relationship that we have here. Russell Brand was on Tucker. I think he was on with Tucker, and he mentioned the old George Carlin quote that I was not aware of, something to the effect of, "We don't need conspiracy where interests converge." And that's what we're seeing. That sums everything up. We don't need a conspiracy about the Trump impeachment when we see a conflict of interest. Alexander Vindman accused of trying to profit off of the Sunflower Country war with defense contracts. So, this is one of the prize witnesses in the first bunk, ridiculous, absurd impeachment that was basically based on a phone call. Do you know how absurd that sounds? And we look at it here. This is via Human Events Daily. I just had the Fox article up, so I apologize to Jack Posovic and the team for not having their article ready. But let's go with this and, of course, credit them more than Fox News because they just based it off of that. In a statement to Fox News Digital, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, who was one of the sharpest critics of Vindman throughout the impeachment investigation, blasted him as an opportunist and accused him of undertaking continuous efforts to try and personally profit from his attacks against Trump and the Trump administration to his reported dealings in the Sunflower Country. As we know, that first impeachment was all about the call. Second impeachment was just complete nonsense, the peacefully protest. The third impeachment unofficially would be the J6 committee, which is getting debunked right now. Just debunked as invalid with no credibility. 3 attempts at the wheel that doesn't even mention the state AGs, Letitia James and others going after him, even in Georgia. When conservatives speak the truth, the mainstream media panics and desperately attempts to provide cover for the left. They did this for Alexander Vindman, just like they did for Robert Biden, Dr. Fauci, and the teachers union. Blackburn said, sometimes Marsha Blackburn is very based. When she gets heated, she gets really based where she's at. I don't always align with her, but she's very impressive at times. Remember, she was the one that brought out I think she was the one that asked the now Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, can you define a woman, if I'm not mistaken. According to a report by Human Events, Vindman has spent the last 3 years on MSNBC and CNN attacking Republicans. Now, new revelations suggest he could be profiting off the war in the Sunflower Country, just as he did by speaking out against the Trump administration. And that was the prize witness, one of the prize witnesses. I think he was the prize witness during that. I have to relive that nightmare to kind of remember where it was all at, because that was before times I was still blue-pilled at that moment. So I didn't have the same perspective that I do right now. Thanks for stopping by in the live. That's the Vindman topic I wanted to talk about. But so I gave the Progressive Caucus, and we're talking about Rashida Tlaib, AOC, and them. They teamed up with Matt Gaetz. I didn't look at the exact votes there, but I know, I think most of them teamed up with him, and that's a good sign. They sent the message out to the whole Progressive Caucus, hey, let's vote on this Matt Gaetz resolution. And I think it's partly because they can do it, and people aren't really paying attention. Other than ones engaged, and they think they can get away with it. And here we go. I hate to bring up or break up this kumbaya moment because it's a great moment. But here's one of the members of the Progressive Caucus, and she didn't have that same energy. This is Rashida Tlaib. She didn't have that same energy when she was recently at my former stomping grounds, Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan. And she was asked a very poignant question and direct question.
All right, so this is the last question.
That's not how we're doing questions.
Nope.
Any place that you could get more money for the Wayne County region, that it would come from the $100 billion that we've sent to, over $100 billion to Ukraine to fight a war.
So they're at the University of Michigan, and someone had the cojones, which this does take cojones, to get up and ask Rashida Tlaib about funding, voting for funding, if you're supposed to be a populist, voting for funding for the Sunflower Country.
Nope.
Any place that you could get more money for the Wayne County region, that it would come from the $100 billion that we've sent to, over $100 billion to Ukraine to fight a war, which I can't imagine if we're talking about moneyed interests and talking about big lobbying groups, that there wouldn't be more of an effort to go after that. Further, the revelations recently over the Nord Stream pipeline explosion from Seymour Hersh, which point to the very clear evidence that it was the United States that did the bombing, I think is a very important thing to identify, because you, Congresswoman, have not voted against the funding of Ukraine. And it puts to the lie the whole notion of the rules-based. It's an important question. Let me finish.
He's asking it now. Everybody's getting a little uncomfortable, and I told my wife yesterday. I went to University of Michigan. I don't know if I could even do it I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it nowadays. I'd be ostracized. When you're in school, you're supposed to be a rebel. You're supposed to challenge authority. This person gets up, this young man gets up to respectfully and thoughtfully challenge authority. I don't care if he's right or wrong. You're at a university, and one of the things that you're supposed to be a rebel without a cause. And these clowns at the university now, they're tools. They are NPCs with a downloaded cause in their head. And you go through these universities, they're chasing out Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, yelling at him, Black Lives Matter. Why? Because he said, if you're going to have a household, you should have a father and a mother, ideally. You know, racist thoughts like that. So these clowns, I don't know what's happened. I don't know what has happened. This is not the same atmosphere that I grew up in. There were identitarians, of course. There was the Black Lounge and this and that. But it wasn't, and this was like 96 to 2001. But it wasn't this woke. There was never this push of somebody stepping up to challenge authority, and I'm going to drown their voice out to protect Rashida Tlaib. They should have been quiet as a church mouse, and everybody should have turned their head to wait for her answer. I'm not telling them what they should have thought, but when you see authority getting challenged respectfully, let's hear what her answer is. You hear these clowns. They're providing, these clowns in the audience, they're providing with goddamn muzzles on their face. They're providing cover for authority. Forget about the topic. Forget about the funding to the Sunflower Country. That is clowns. That's clown world stuff. If you ever see someone, I'm not against Trump. I'm not, I just gave props to Matt Gaetz. If somebody steps up and challenges Matt Gaetz respectfully, you won't hear a peep out of me. I'll turn my head and wait for the answer.
And so my question is, if
write it down.
If we're promoting this idea,
Write it down. He's asking the question there in the audience, said, write it down. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we proceed to blow up pipelines, including an ally, Germany. Then will you continue to go along with this lie?
Look at their faces. They're supposed to work for you, you and I. She works for them. Or I don't know what her district is, but she works for the people. The people are asking, well, why are you sending money over there? And she has some disgusted look on their face like, are we bothering you right now? I don't care what the topic was of you coming to the campus. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you came to the campus to talk about Black Lives Matter or how you got your hair and nails done or how back in the day you said impeach the mother effer. You had a lot of energy when you said that. And now we ask you about this, your face, fix your face.
Habibi, thank you. We really appreciate the input, and thank you for your care and consideration. We have a process that we've been following.
Here's the condescending BS protecting her again. We appreciate your input. I don't need to translate to you that means F off, peasant. That's all. You don't even need the answer to the question. You ask a question that serious of a sitting congresswoman, and she doesn't have the decency to say anything. She lets some stooge, I don't even know who that is. I don't know if that's a representative or not. I only know her on that stage. Let somebody else answer for you, and then the crowd. Watch the end here with the crowd.
I think your question is a very important one. It's not really the space, right? It's kind of out of context. There are a lot of important questions. We're not trying to answer all of them here. So we're talking about specifically
the question is out of context.
Really appreciate your question, and I appreciate your care on the issue. We're not actually going to take it because there was a whole process here that we'd really appreciate you respect it.
Okay.
So thank you for your question. Really appreciate it. Understood.
No, F you too.
Not the right venue, not the right time, not the right space. Thank you so much. All right, next question.
So this is the
What the hell is going on right now? The audience is clapping because she didn't answer the question.
me asking the question. I work for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Be covered up. Where's the dignity? Where's the honesty? Where are you going to tell the truth? This is a lie that you're.
She's not even looking at him in the eye.
At the expense of your own constituency. Think of the $100 billion that could be going to Detroit, could be going to Dearborn.
I try to say it kindly.
You're blowing up things around the world and walking us into nuclear war.
So here, I'm just like, so everybody focus on me. Focus on me. All right, I want to say something here.
Okay.
There's a world in which sometimes
Okay.
people with great intentions miss the mark on the folks to whom they should be aiming those great intentions.
Oh.
I'll be honest with you. I do not think, and I don't think anybody in this room thinks, that this congresswoman
You don't have to do that. Can
is,
you just
is,
grab
Yeah,
the
here we
card
go.
and
Ready?
read it?
is the person
Grab the card and
who's
read it.
leading that to happen. So let's go ahead and ask the
The
question.
reason why she's saying you don't have to do that because she knows how cringe this is.
I work for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Myself and many of my colleagues work tirelessly.
Congresswoman Tlaib, I need to know, will you support Representative Gaetz' resolution to pull troops out of Syria?
And that's what I talked about. She did support that. But let's look at the energy here. Let's take a look at the energy.
People love you.
So remember the energy that she had? This was when Pappy Don was in there. She was running for Congress.
People love you, and you win. And when your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're gonna go in there, we're gonna impeach the motherfucker."
There was her yes queen moment. Look at her smiling. The hugs. It's such a vacuous statement. For what reason? And we asked her about a serious issue, about somebody challenging her on a subject she should be an expert on, and the energy is just completely different. These people are not worthy of our support. They should be fired. Michigan, you should fire her. That's what you should do. Even if you like her politics, fire her just off a general principle and hire somebody else. It's that simple. They're only there 2 years at a time in the House. That's for a reason. They're closer to the people. The people have more say. Just like I said, if you don't release the J6 footage, Matt Gaetz, I want you up out of there. I don't want to start with him because he's good, but I don't care who you are. You can do your vacate the seat, whatever. Start that whole process again when we're going to do the vote over and over again until the video footage is released. You can do that. What is Rashida Tlaib scared of? Because when her power was being challenged, she looked scared. And well, I'm not going to say this is why, but in an unrelated topic to why somebody might be scared, yet another accident or incident happened associated with the Hillary and Bill their whole franchise, you could say. This is via the redacted.
Why do so many associates of Bill and Hillary Clinton keep winding up dead in mysterious circumstances? Another one just died over the weekend, which we'll tell you about in just a moment, and that one might be one of the most bizarre ones we've heard so far, but the list is growing long. Clinton friend Jeffrey Epstein found dead in a jail cell. Then we have medical examiner Michael Bodden saying that Epstein's death is consistent with homicide. Then, like clockwork, more Clinton friends and associates die. In 2020, billionaire film producer Steve Bing dies after falling from a building. Mysteriously, he was a huge donor to Democrats and the Clintons. Bill Clinton then tweeting right afterwards saying, "I loved Steve Bing very much. He had a big heart. He was willing to do anything he could for the people and causes he believed in." Then you have Mark Middleton. In 2022, White House Clinton aide Mark Middleton found dead at a ranch in Arkansas. Shotgun found 30 feet away from his body, an electrical cord tied around his neck. They ruled that a suicide. And just for some context here, as Whitney Webb has reported, he was one of the guys who was involved with Jeffrey Epstein and the illicit transfer of sensitive U.S. military technology to China. Middleton, you'll recall, also testified before Congress. He pleaded the fifth 28 times to Congress when it was investigated. Then he also pleaded the fifth when asked if he was a foreign agent. Silence on that question. And then a few days ago, another Clinton billionaire associate dies. That one's ruled a suicide. He was 78-year-old Thomas Lee. He was found dead in his bathroom on his side with a single gunshot wound to his head. Then that brings us to the very latest. I mean, the list is getting incredibly long, to this weird, mysterious death that happened over the weekend. Dana Hyde, another one who worked with Clinton and the Obama administration. And she was 55 years old. She was in a jet with her family and other individuals when apparently, according to reports, they hit some turbulence over New England. That caused them to have an emergency landing. But the turbulence, they said, was the reason that she died. Her family's fine. A number of FAA and airline pilots have come forward saying, "I've never seen anyone die because of turbulence." So what in the world is going on?
What does that mean? She died because of turbulence? Man, these people are next level, man. They just allegedly out here just coincidentally friends and associates just contortionists. As I think Isaac Hull in the chat said, he was a contortionist. He must have been a hell of a magician. Tied up with the shotgun on the ground and turbulence. Really?
On here. Well, investigative journalist Whitney Webb has been following a lot of these weird connections over the years, particularly the Mark Middleton story.
If you don't know Whitney Webb, I would describe her as Alex Jones, but more, I don't want to say credible, but just without the theatrics. And even though Alex Jones has cut out a lot of the theatrics, which is nothing wrong with, you want to be entertaining. But I put her on the same level. I would put her actually a little bit above Alex Jones. She's that good. I follow her on Rockfin.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me back on.
Sure. So this list is getting long, and you and I were texting earlier today, and as we were texting, you were literally going through and looking for her profiles on a number of different business websites, LinkedIn, Apollo, Aspen Institute, where she worked. And what were you finding?
Yeah, that her profiles have been deleted. At least the LinkedIn was deleted within the last 24 hours. And the Aspen Institute, where relatively recently she was co-chair of a major Aspen Institute initiative for inclusive economic growth. She's since been deleted as well.
Maybe the turbulence is why her profiles were deleted.
And actually essentially written out of the history of that particular initiative. The other co-chair claims to have now on the Aspen Institute website is listed as the only founder and person who launched the initiative. If you actually go back in the Wayback Machine, it's clear that this particular individual, Dana Hyde, was the co-chair and helped launch it as well. So it's kind of bizarre to see her written out of it. Several of her other profiles on the internet have also been pretty difficult to come across. I was able to using archive.org, find one of her old profiles on the Aspen Institute that's since been deleted and has a lot more information than the ones that are currently online. And, most reports on her death have not really mentioned a lot of her roles at the government or her affiliations that are in, some of these other now deleted profiles. For example, her Council on Foreign Relation membership.
Uh-oh. That's come up recently. Her membership with the council that deals with foreign relations. That's also where the new CEO of the platform that I'm speaking to you on now, one of them, YouTube, he is also a member as of February 2022.
Deleted profiles, for example, her Council on Foreign Relation membership, not mentioned anywhere except this Aspen Institute profile, as far as I can see, and some of the more specifics about who she was working with, for example, in the Clinton White House and her role in the Obama administration. Can be found there. But, as to the broader question of why so many people tied up with the Clintons continue dying well after the Clintons are no longer in office or in a position of visible political prominence is a bit odd, isn't it? And
it's not just people getting unlived. I mean, they know a lot of people, so as time goes on, they're going to be unlived. It's just the details of how they've been unlived, who they are connected to, and the questions there, like turbulence is how they get unlived.
And I've been trying to look for connections between, these different individuals. And obviously, the most connected of the ones that you mentioned in your introduction would, of course, be Jeffrey Epstein and Mark Middleton, because they were known to have been meeting together at the White House. And you have Epstein dying in 2019 and then Mark Middleton dying last year, both under very suspicious circumstances that were ruled a suicide. But then you look at, those cases and then these other cases that you mentioned. Steve Bing falling out of off the 27th floor of a high-rise building. Police wouldn't even say it was a suicide. They just were like, he fell out of a building at the time, and it was subsequently, I think, reported as a suicide by the New York Post, but that didn't come from police. And
I guess he thought he could fly.
And, Thomas H. Lee, this financier guy, not exactly clear why he might have killed himself, because just a few days before he was found dead, people thought he was in a great mood, doing really well, and they were just blown away why he would kill himself in the way that he did. And, just a lot of unanswered questions. So,
no, there's that. That's that. I guess it's just a coinky dink. It's just a big old coincidence. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. There's nothing else to see here. And by the way, I love life. I'm feeling good, and I'm just sharing the news. I love Hillary and Bill. I think they're y'all don't hurt me. Greg Wilson, thank you for the super chat, $10. He said, thanks for noticing my posts. Always enjoy your point of view. Thank you. Try my best. It's kind of hard as you do the videos to go through the comments, find ones that are relevant and all that. Always appreciate you stopping by. Morning spice. I guess it did get a little spicy. It got a little spicier than I had planned, but so we started off with good stuff with the Progressive Caucus working with MAGA, and we talked about some issues with Rashida Tlaib. Talked about the coincidence. There's a big coinkydink with people associated with the Hillary C and Bill C. We talked about Vindman and his interests converging against Pappy Don, and I haven't had a chance to weigh in on this one, and I'm just in the mood where I have 0 F's to give, and I'm not going to stand by and watch this kind of foolishness without commenting. The Biden administration gave an International Woman of Courage Award. So let me reset that. Biden administration gives International Women of Courage Award to a biological man. We are at the point where literally the best woman for the job, courage-wise, is a biological man. Are there no other women? Here's what I would say. Very simple. Create a different award. If you're into that identity stuff, I'm not. But if you're into that identity stuff, well, why wouldn't you just say, we've got an international trans woman award? And you could have, and nobody really would say anything about that. Because you do the black awards, I'm not for it, but you do black awards, so why not do it international trans? I mean, the problem with that, I think, is now you got a trans woman, you need trans man, you need non-binary, it just breaks up into too many, but still, you could do that. Out of all the thousands of potentially deserving women of this award, if you're going to do, I'm not for the identity. I actually don't mind breaking up men and women identity-wise, because I think there are differences we can celebrate there, not skin color or if you like bananas or tacos. That's not a substantive thing to break up a society and give an award for. We gave an award to a biological man who, I don't know, maybe they like bananas and tacos, but they dress and present as a woman. And we gave them that award as a award title for women. That is state sponsored. So if anybody tells you this isn't state sponsored, they're just lying. That's the Biden administration. So what that means is, if the Biden administration does that, and you're just any corporation in the world, any corporation, not even a big one, you can't speak out against that. Now you're against the state. This is a religion. Michael Knowles referred to it as transgenderism. I never really used that term, and I think him using that term triggered people into misunderstanding what he was saying. I use critical theory of gender, but whatever you use, that's what we're caught up into, sponsored by the state. There's no biological women that could have won the award for being courageous. No scientists, no one in medicine, no women in engineering. They just looked over all of that for basically a biological man in a dress. That's what happened. If you don't want me to, and same with it all ties in. Same with we got the fat black April that they race swapped. If you don't want me to point out that she's fat and black, then don't swap her race-wise. We don't swap black characters for white characters. And I would have the same problem if you did that. If you took Luke Cage and swapped him for a white person, I probably wouldn't want to see that. I'd be okay. If you took Black Panther and swapped him for some redhead Birkenstock wearing dude like AOC's fiance, I probably would stay out. I would probably say I'm not watching it. But it never goes that way. So if you don't want me to point that out, then stop doing it. If you don't want me to point out that it's a dude in a dress, then have the respect to have a different category and say it's not a dude in a dress. It's someone we recognize who identifies as a woman. We call them a trans woman. And there would be, I think, more respect if you did that. It could be changed so easily. But in the end of the day, we can celebrate. Dudes, we rock. We're the best men and women for the job. I guess when you say who has the balls for the opportunity, it would be us. I'm sorry if there's any women that happen to, I mean, if you're the one or two women that happen to watch this, I'm sorry. We're the best you. We're now the more attractive you. We're the more courageous you. There is no more you. I didn't make the rules, they did. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm making too much out of it. Maybe I'm making too much out of this too. Jeff Bezos is living his best life. Oh, let me just tell you, when I say that Jeff Bezos is living his best life, I mean he's living his best life. Jeff Bezos came up on a $500 million yacht. Why is this relevant? Well, we'll get to that. Jeff Bezos' rumored $500 million yacht. You know what that means is? He bought a boat for $500 million. That's what that means. Spotted at sea for the first time. Remember, they were going to take down a bridge, because his boat was too big for the bridge. They were going to dismantle the bridge, but there was a backlash. People are like, damn, that's kind of messed up that you're going to dismantle a bridge to get this dude's boat from one place to the other. So they had to put it up on land and transport it that way. His boat is 417 feet long. I guess it's called Koru, if that's how it's pronounced, was spotted for the first time at sea earlier this month in footage released by Dutch Yachting. This shows the reported $500 million yacht taking a trial run. You know, if you got a $500 million yacht, you got to test it out, don't you? It's believed to be the largest sailing yacht in the world and features 3 towering masts, several decks, including one with a pool. Nothing like getting a boat and putting a pool on it. Because the boat's too big, you can't stop to jump off and go in the water that the boat's in. The boat has a boat. The boat has its own lake in it. And then within the lake is a boat within the boat. Several decks, including one with a pool and a supporting 250-foot-long yacht with a helipad. Obviously, if you're going to have a boat, you got to have a helipad. While Netherlands-based custom yacht builder Oceano has refused to confirm the owner of the vessel, it was reportedly due to be completed and delivered to Bezos earlier this year. It made headlines last year that I talked about when the city of Rotterdam, appropriately named for this topic, had agreed to temporarily dismantle part of the historic, I can't pronounce this, Congressional bridge in order to accommodate the yacht. He has a yacht. I don't care how historic the bridge is. We're going to have to take it down. The spokesperson told the Washington Post that at the time, but the newspaper staff has said that they have editorial independence. The 58-year-old billionaire in Oceano reportedly covered the cost of the engineering work. And I'll say, you know, whenever I say this kind of stuff, I say it must be nice. I wonder what kind of weaponry he has on this bad boy. I can guarantee you there's some protection. This is a video from Dutch Yachting. As you can see, the 3 masts. $500 million, half a bill. Not like half a band, half a bill, not half 100, not half 1,000, half a billion. Mr. Jeff Bezos. Oh, let's go back to the pandemic. Remember when they chose winners and losers? How much money did some of these dudes make during the pandemic? Remember, we just mentioned it earlier, they made this money through the pandemic. How? It wasn't through legislation. Much of it. Now, they did pass, some of these spending bills, but the edicts and all that, it turned into a government emergency, which says, oh, Congress has to come in to this emergency. And it includes Elon Musk as well. When you look at it, Jeff Bezos, the world's richest person at the time, has also been a winner of the pandemic. If you've got money, I don't have any problem with that. I'm a capitalist or pro-capitalism. I guess some people view capitalist as a rich person. I'm not that, but I'm pro-capitalism, but only in a free market. This isn't capitalism. This is something else. Chose winners and losers. Jeff Bezos, the world's richest person. And when I talk about the funding bills, the legislation never authorized choosing winners and losers. That was done by the CDC, said we have recommendations. Then remember the governors and at local county mayors all said, well, the CDC said there's recommendations, so we are going to do mayoral executive order, governor executive order, and we're going to pick winners and losers. None of that was done through legislation. And here's one of the winners. Shares of Amazon up by 87% over the last 15 months as quarantining shoppers have flocked to the e-commerce giant, helping drive an $86 billion increase in Bezos' fortune since January of 2020. So if your net worth or your funds increased, I mean, this is net worth, I don't know where he's at now, by $86 billion. Each billion is 1,000 millions. He got $86,000 millions in increase. Bro, you couldn't have got a better yacht than that. $500 million yacht. You can see he's pretty frugal. He could afford a much better yacht than that. You thought that yacht was crazy? Wait until you see the next one. I ain't got no problem with you being rich. I do have a problem with that anti-free market. That ain't how it's done. That's the problem I have. Tax the rich. Tax the rich. Get the government out of the way and stop beating down small businesses, medium businesses while they were struggling. This dude has a yacht with 3 masts, a pool, and a boat and a helipad. And we're the crazy ones for pointing it out. Yeah, believe it or not. That's where we are today. This is a topic that I got some feedback from. I did a video on Stacey Abrams. I guess I'll play the clip again, actually, because everybody's not going to get to watch every video. But I like being challenged. I showed you the clip of Rashida Tlaib, and her, obviously, she didn't like being challenged because she's in a very bad spot. I actually really like to be challenged. And I did a video on Stacey Abrams, and this is a fair challenge, and I have a fair answer. Please challenge me. Love it. Because you know what I love it? I'm not afraid to change my mind if I'm wrong. The only thing I'm married to is the best idea. So here we go. My video on Stacey Abrams, and I'm going to talk about the retort somebody had. My take on Stacey Abrams. She's the perfect black woman Democrat. She's single. We've never seen her with any male companionship. That's how they like their women now. No man involved. Male companionship is so 2015. She hates black males unless they do what they're told by her black Democrat masters. And obviously the black women are the voices of the black Democrat masters. So she hates black males. She has no male companionship. We've never seen her with the male. She does whatever the Democrats tell her to do. She carries herself like she's non-binary. I mean, if you cover up her body, I wouldn't know if she was a man or a woman. She's obedient. And if they tell her to go over to Nigeria to go meddle over in another process, she'll be like, what? When's the flight? There's just summing up on my take on Stacey Abrams. She's the perfect. So that was you could call it a hot take. It was spicy on purpose. For me, I would consider it spicy. Mike has bad needs. Friend of the show, thanks for stopping by, says she wasn't too bad looking when she was thin. And I agree completely. And he's talking about this clip here when she was skinny. I want to do a video on all these people when they were younger, including myself. I'm not immune to that too. That was Stacey Abrams there when she was younger. And I think she was at University of Georgia, somewhere in Georgia school. And I don't want to be mean with her. And I do want to distinguish that I'm not really calling her ugly. What I'm more pointing out is, what does the Democratic Party machine want? And she fits into that. Because if she had a different ideology, if she was independent, I wouldn't be calling her any type of ugly. And I haven't called her ugly. I really go at the Democratic Party, and that's very important with this topic here. And somebody challenged me on it, and I'll pull it up here. Let me find it. Of course, I always have struggles with Twitter, but it's not too far. And I said, this is a fair retort. So Kaz replied to my comments on Stacey Abrams. And she said, and I appreciate Kaz because we don't see eye to eye politically. And she's interacted with me. I've interacted with her. And it's been respectful. So there, she had a series of responses. Let's do this one first. Last, she said, roll the clip of her saying that she hates black males, which is fair criticism because I said I think she hates, well, I just said she hates black males, which is obviously an opinion. Or males in general, because clearly this is such a reach, you have to bring race into it. Don't do that. Don't dare do that. Kaz, I got no beef with you, but don't do that. That we talk about pet peeves. I gotta take a break. I gotta take a deep breath for a second. You identitarian blackity blacks do nothing but talk about race. I comment on your opinions on race, and then you say, why do I bring race into it? Have you lost your damn mind? I'm not the one that brought race into this. You did. She did. She brings race into it every day. How can I comment on your asinine takes on race without bringing race into the topic? That is a pet peeve of mine. When all of a sudden they're afraid to talk about race. That's all you talk about. And I'm analyzing your talk, and now you say, why are you bringing race into it? Another circular argument. Let me move on. Don't worry, I'll wait an entire lifetime because it doesn't exist. I know. And I replied to it, and I said, true. This is a fair retort because Stacey Abrams, I said Abram, I got typos all over the place. Stacey Abrams has never flat out said she hates black men, but I'm not changing my opinion. That is an opinion. A lot of these people don't know the difference between opinion and fact. They just don't. And I mean, not hyperbole. Ask them. I say Stacey Abrams hates black women. Ask somebody if that's an opinion or a fact. Just like Ye said, I like the guy with the funny mustache. Is that an opinion or a fact? I think they know the difference and they don't want to acknowledge it because if somebody has an opinion, then they can have whatever the hell opinion they want. You can't control that. That's why they have this cognitive dissonance when you ask them, do you understand that that's an opinion? And do you understand I can have whatever the hell opinion I want? But I will articulate, but you do need to back up your opinions, in my opinion. But I'll say she doesn't have to say it directly. And it's no different than when you blackity blacks call people racist and you have zero justification outside of your imagination and insecurities. I will call you out on it every time, but you're entitled to your opinion. I never say you're not entitled to your opinion, as asinine as it might be. You can think my opinion is asinine, but I will explain it to you. I have no problems doing that. So I went on to reply to this, and I don't know if it took my other replies to it, so I'll just do it on the fly. I thought I had a whole thread. Maybe it didn't go through. But what I was saying is that she's never said she hates black men. I'm kind of disappointed in that because I had a whole thread. My thread didn't come through, I don't think. Let me look real quick. How does one post go through and the thread doesn't go through? It's weird. Just 1 second. I'm just trying to see. That's weird how that didn't go through. Yeah, I don't think it didn't go through. So, because I had like links and stuff in it. But let me just do it on the fly. I did it on my computer. I wonder if I still have it locked and loaded. No? Okay. So here's what I went through. She doesn't hate black men, allegedly, but at the same time, she said basically that black men who do not vote for her, and I'm paraphrasing, she's basically saying black men who have fallen victim to misinformation. I hate not having the quote there because I'm just saying stuff. Let me bring up the quote. It's not going to take too long. Stacey Abrams said that black men have been fooled by misinformation. Black men fooled by misinformation are dampening her poll numbers. Does that sound like a group of people that she likes? So what she means to say is, and she has said, I like black men, I've reached out to black men. What she means to say is, I like politically black men. If you don't go with me in the Democratic Party, then you're not a politically black man, and I can say you're a victim to misinformation. She doesn't hate black men who side with her. She doesn't hate black men who are politically convenient to her. That's what she means. And basically her comments there on, black men becoming victim to misinformation. Here's the full quote. Unfortunately, this year, black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation, this generic term of misinformation. Abrams said on MSNBC's Velshi over the weekend. Not misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. Does that sound like somebody who likes that group of people? You might say that I'm taking it too far. That's perfectly fine, but I have a right. Clearly, I have a right to that opinion based on that comment. That isn't somebody who likes black men in general. Then we had Tiffany Cross, who I had in the thread. That's why I like the thread, is because she came out and just flat out said the unwritten stuff about black men. And I played this clip multiple times, but this is the clip where she's talking about basically black men being a victim, the exact same take of black men being a victim to misinformation that Stacey Abrams had. And I look at it and I say, how could you even think that this person likes this group of people? And this is not Stacey Abrams. This is Tiffany Cross. But Stacey Abrams, would she agree or disagree with this statement? And here's the infamous clip. I've played it before. Without further tap dancing to find it. I'm really mad my thread didn't go through. I'm still salty about that. But
Roland made a really legitimate point here. I will say, a lot of black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by black women in the media. So this is not that.
Oh, it's not that. See if it picks up. I always have these problems with these older videos on Twitter. I usually download them and then play them. So I'll play this link here. Actually, this is a good way to do it. I can download it and then just play it.
Roland made a really legitimate point here. I will say, a lot of black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by black women in the media. So this is not that. But I do hear Roland's point that felt ignored. But you feel ignored and then you go over to the other side. The oppressed feel oppressed. So then you go and try to align with the oppressor.
That's exactly what Stacey Abrams basically said, but she didn't have the courage to say. One thing I will respect about Tiffany Cross, and I don't know where she is. She's a great talent, very engaging, interesting. Forget about whether you agree or not. I'll have to look up where she's at, because wherever she's at, I'm going to watch her. I can't believe they didn't keep her on MSNBC. I have no idea what happened there. She's a star. She should just go independent. I digress. But that's what Stacey Abrams believes. She doesn't have the courage that Tiffany Cross has.
So I'm not putting black men down, but sometimes it's like, well, some of you Kevin Samuels following Tariq Nasheed quoting people, please look at the truth and see what's happening.
I'm not putting black men down, but I'm going to go ahead and annihilate black men. Stacey Abrams recently aligned, in my opinion, with the new Triple K organization. And well, let me say this. The group that she founded, because I don't know what connection she has now, but it's this nonprofit that she founded is now in bed with domestic aggressors through Andy No. And actually this was, post-millennial. Stacey Abrams' nonprofit announces Stop Cop City, direct action for for March 9 in Atlanta following the aggressive attack, I'm avoiding the T word, on police and infrastructure by members of the movement last week. The nonprofit was previously chaired by Senator Warnock, a Democrat. Day of action. So they're basically funding this group that you could call aggressors domestically. And what is one of the things that they put on this? How I'm going to tie it into black men. What's one of the things they put on this? Tyree Nichols. Tyree Nichols is on the flyer. Another dead black male body being used as a political prop for the Democratic Party. Exactly what happened with George Floyd. And Stacey Abrams supported Black Lives Matter. Her group that she founded is using a dead black male to prop up their identity and to prop up this group. And to me, this is associated loosely, at least with the T group, the new Triple K organization. That's all they are. They're just the new Ku Klux Klan. That's it. She's funding it off the back of a dead black body. But wait, there's more. I'm not done to justify my position as to why she hates black men. Kaz, I'm glad you asked. I'm happy to oblige. Stacey Abrams supported Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter supported the destruction of the nuclear family before they took it off their website. They supported it before they were embarrassed to support it because they thought it might be problematic. With who? With which group? Not with black women. Black women, the Democrat Party could burn crosses on lawns right now and black women would be down for it as long as Trump's face was on it. They're worried about black men. This is the infamous quote that used to be on the website that they have now since removed. Black Lives Matter said, we disrupt, this is the group that was founded by a bunch of black lesbians, black women with no man, obedient to the Democratic Party. They said, we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. What's explicitly left out of that statement is any male representation. Why would you have male representation when you're supposed to be disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure of a man and a woman? You can have your lesbian relationship, you can have children. You don't have to attack, you can do that without attacking the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. So I believe in the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. I don't attack any other. Mayor Pete and his husband with their baby, wish y'all the best. Whatever, wish y'all the best. But you look at the other way, they can't have their lifestyle without attacking yours and whoever believes in that. Does that look like she loves? This is Stacey Abrams, has never spoken out against this. So it's possible she would disagree with it. Let's have go talk to Officer Tatum, somebody who has a platform big enough worthy of your presence. If I'm wrong, Stacey Abrams, I will guarantee you Officer Tatum would love to have a discussion with you. I guarantee you ABL would love to have a discussion with you. Whoever, Candace Owens, she talks to anybody, everybody, anywhere, respectfully. She'll have a conversation with you. If I'm wrong, correct me. Go and criticize this statement. You won't find it. So I do have perfect legitimate reasons to say why I think Stacey Abrams hates black men. Casual Goats, able to stop by in the live. Haven't chatted in a minute. Thanks for stopping by. Great friend of the show. And now I'm in the rambling portion where I just have topics off the top of my head that I've been thinking about, maybe posted about recently, and then I will be out afterwards. This trailer is so good. I think it's worth a copyright. If they do if they demonetize or whatever they do. This reminded me of movies back in the day. A happier topic, a comedy that I don't think I even saw a black person in the trailer, which is very unusual nowadays. I'm not against any trailers with black, but it's not overly woke for sure. And a sexy Jennifer Lawrence in a funny unwoke comedy. Are we back in the before times?
Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog.
Gary, what the fuck?
Court order for asset seizures.
So they're taking my car?
You went radio silent on me.
Is that what this is about? Just last night, I thought, I missed that fucker.
Is that true? Buongiorno.
That's my cousin. Gary, I swear to God, he's my cousin. He's my second cousin.
There's something seriously wrong with you.
I'm an Uber driver and I don't have a car. I'm gonna lose my house.
You think I chose him? Look at this.
Need a car, date our son this summer, then bring him out of his shell before college. In exchange, we'll give you a Buick Regal. Date is in quotes. It's gotta be a joke, right?
No, have you seen these helicopter parents? I'm surprised they're not gonna fuck them themselves.
We've just been so worried about our son.
He's going to Princeton in the fall.
Oh, I've heard of it. We tried everything to bring him out of his shell.
He doesn't come out of his room, he doesn't talk to girls, doesn't drink.
So when you say date him, do you mean date him or date him? Yes.
Date him. Date him hard.
Okay. I'll date his brains out. He volunteers at the animal shelter. Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog. How about I give you a ride home?
This isn't the way to my house.
It's a shortcut. You're my hostage. What you got down there? Something for me?
Why?
You tried kidnapping me!
You're 19. Grow up.
This kid is unfuckable.
Have a drink together.
He'll have a Long Island iced tea.
This is the worst iced tea I've ever had.
One thing about me, I'm the baddest alive.
Dance parties.
Just don't know what to do. I just know my mom would have wanted me to save the house.
He's probably just nervous. Why don't you loosen him up?
We can go skinny dipping.
What about sharks?
Men here.
Jellyfish?
Not this season.
It's really the lack of lifeguards.
Let's get the fuck in here right now.
Okay. I'm just a bit of a romantic.
He's actually really sweet. The best part about getting older is not giving a fuck what people think.
I'm an adult now. I can make my own decisions.
That's good.
You want to savor it. Savor it.
Come on, you're getting out of here. You don't belong here. Let's
Touch me.
Get away from her!
stay.
Oh, fuck!
We should go.
Maddie, you can't outrun the cops!
I can't lose my license.
The movie is called No Hard Feelings. Great title. I'm here for it. It's a hard job being an actor, huh? This dude, this young-looking dude has to get seduced all day by a sexy-looking Jennifer Lawrence. It's a tough job, and get paid for it, too. But it looked unwoke. It looked funny. When's the last time you saw a trailer for something that looked funny? I don't know. Maybe I'm not a big movie person. Maybe I've been missing it. I'll be there. I'm going to tell my wife about it. We're going to be there. If you want to get people back in the movie theaters, I think you got to do stuff like that. I'm very interested. I'm going to end with another little piece on entertainment. I think this is I just randomly saw this on Twitter, on TikTok. Somebody just randomly had this clip from Fences. I have seen it, the Broadway play and the movie, but I hadn't thought about it in a while. And this is, the movie's definitely not woke. It is identitarian based, but it's not woke. And I just thought Denzel was so good. What a good clip this was in this movie, Fences.
I got to like you.
Take a look at this.
How come you ain't never liked me? Like you? Who the hell said I got to like you? Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. What law is there say I got to like you? None. All right, then. Don't you eat every day? Yeah. Nigga, as long as you in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me. Yes, sir. You eat every day. Yes, sir. Got a roof over your head. Yes, sir. Got clothes on your back. Yes, sir. Why you think that is? Because you like me? Like you. I go out of here every morning. I bust my butt putting up with them crackers every day because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Not because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday because he like me. He give it to me because he owe me. Now I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Now don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you.
That's a hell of a well-written, and man, Denzel did such a good job there. Viola Davis was in this too. I'm going to go back to the OG, the same scene with James Earl Jones. But this part here, I just love this part where he says, now don't you go through life. I'm going to teach my kids the same thing. Don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody likes you or not, whether it's me or anybody else. And that problem right there is why we have half the issues we have in our country right now. Is people worrying about whether somebody likes them or not, and it makes you easily manipulated. He said, you best be making sure they're doing right by you, substantively, thinking through it critically. Same scene.
They're doing right.
Same scene by the great James Earl Jones. This is in 1987.
Seen by James Earl Jones as a stern father who has struggled to build a life and keep control of his family, shows him teaching his son a painful lesson about setting his expectations for affection.
Can I ask you a question?
What the hell you want to ask me? This is the wiki is the one you got the questions for.
How come you ain't never liked me?
Liked you. Who in the hell ever said, I got to like you? What law is there to say, I got to like you? Do you want to stand up in my face and ask me some damn fool-ass question like that? Talking about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. Ask you a question. What law is there to say, I got to like you?
None.
All right, then. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
Nigga, as long as you living in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You eat every day.
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head.
Yes, sir.
And clothes on your back.
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you.
Hell, I know it's because of me. Why do you think that is?
Because you like me.
Like you. I go out of here every morning and bust my butt putting up with them crackers all day long because I like you. You is the biggest fool I ever saw. It is my job. It is my responsibility. You understand that? A man got to take care of his family. You live in my house. You sleep your behind on my bedclothes. You put my food in your belly because you are my son. You are my flesh and blood, not because I like you. It is my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Wait now. Let's get this straight right now. We'll go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand, don't give me my money come payday because he liked me. He give me because he owe me. Now, I didn't give you everything I had to give you. I gave you your life. Your mama and me worked it out between us. And liking your black ass was not a part of the bargain, and don't you try and go through life worried if somebody like you or not. You best make sure that they are doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying, boy?
Yes, sir.
Then you get the hell out of my face and go on down under A&P.
Man, it just shows you how, yes, that is Courtney B. Vance. That's a young Courtney B. Vance, believe it or not. And it just shows you that, because I've been going back and forth with people about the April stuff. I know it's stupid compared to like a powerful scene like that, but entertainment matters. it matters more than Syria. Nobody knows what the hell is going on in Syria. They don't know what's going on in Yemen or the Sunflower Country. They can't find these countries on the map. I mean, I would have to go through. I know it's by Iraq. I have to go through. I don't know if I could do. If you gave me a blank map of the world, I don't know if I could. Well, I probably could, but it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be like second nature. But people watch movies. Kids watch movies. So Hollywood, the Democratic Party, can't let Hollywood do stuff like this. Unfettered. What's the message that we saw there? Men have a responsibility. That's not the Democrat Party. They don't go with their ideals. That goes more with conservatism, with which I'm trying to get a definition for. Men have a responsibility to take care of their household. That doesn't go with their party. Independence, critical thinking. He talked about, why are you worried about somebody liking you, including me, your father? If you don't have to worry about your father liking you, which actually, ironically, to me, it does show, and that's a way that a father shows love to me. But the point is, you don't got to worry about that, because in your head, I might be showing love to you. In your head, you might not like me. That ain't part of the bargain. That's irrelevant. And he didn't even have to say, I love you in that, way. Very similar to how my dad, I don't know if I ever heard my dad say, I love you. But you knew through actions how he felt. But how do you think they sell people on the idea of forget about equality, go to equity? You could also just define equity as trying to force somebody to love you. That's basically what it comes down to. So you become emotional, you look at identity, superficial things like who you have sex with and the colors of your skin, and it's easy to say, well, there's a people in the world that don't love you because of those superficial identities. So we have the power to make them love you. That's all equity is. That's why you have a biological man getting an award for courage of women. And if you don't control Hollywood, you don't know what they're going to do. They might go back to what Obama, I'm going to leave out on this, thank you everybody for joining. They might go back to Obama back in the day. Remember when the right-wing radical Obama said to Black Americans specifically, and got claps, don't act like victims, all lives matter, take responsibility and demand more from fathers.
For the African American community, that path means embracing the burdens of our past without becoming victims of our past. It means continuing to insist on a full measure of justice in every aspect of American life. But it also means binding our particular grievances for better health care and better schools and better jobs to the larger aspirations of all Americans. The white woman struggling to break the glass ceiling, the white man who's been laid off, the immigrant trying to feed his family. And it means also taking full responsibility for our own lives by demanding more from our fathers and spending more time with our children and reading to them and teaching them that while they may face challenges and discrimination in their own lives, they must never succumb to despair or cynicism. They must always believe that they can write their own destiny. Ironically, this quintessentially American and, yes, conservative notion of self-help, yes, conservative notion of self-help, this quintessentially American and, yes, conservative American and, yes, conservative notion of, ironically, this quintessentially American and yes, conservative notion of self-help.